Good morning, Charles. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Oh, living the dream. Living the dream. It's finally starting to look like it's spring around here in the Midwest. So, I think everyone's in a much better mood.
It's not looking like that here. I think they called it a atmospheric stream. Is that what they call it? Or river? We have that.
Oh, wow. We have 64 today. Like is the
Oh
high,
my
and so
gosh.
it's the bad part is in the morning it's a little chilly. So it's like it's one of those things where you wear like a jacket in the morning, then in like 3 hours later you're like, I'm sweating. I need to take this off, and then so it's hard to figure out how to plan, on how what you're gonna dress like. But I'll take that over, being stuck inside because I've been getting stir crazy and wanting to kind of get out and start doing some stuff, even though it's super overwhelming when I look around the house in the backyard and stuff. But part of being an adult, right?
That's right.
It
Well,
distracts you
also,
from the craziness of the real world.
it does. And it's St. Patrick's Day weekend. And I'm glad we're both wearing our green today.
Exactly.
What's Chicago doing? Is the river going to be green?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're still doing that. They did it last year, and I think they just use a different kind of dye than they previously did. That's more
Mm
like environmentally friendly, but I've
hmm.
not heard that they're not doing it. So, I didn't know if that. At one point, I think there was a little bit of hesitation if they were going to do it again or not, but they've been going full bore with it. So, it's
They're like,
a
turns out we've been
crazy
poisoning
weekend down there.
everybody for a really long time. We're
like it's
changing this time.
like it's really weird. After we dye the river, all these fish die. I don't understand why. It doesn't really make any.
Yeah, weird. Oh, well, that's
Quite a
good.
coincidence.
Well, we have our Patrick Lumber open house today, and I'm looking forward to that. That's an annual open house that Patrick Lumber holds for their customers and vendors, and just kind of an appreciation event. And our company's not Irish. I think it's just because of our name is Patrick, so we have to celebrate the
Yep.
day. Yeah. So,
Yep. No. Yeah,
and
makes
it's not
sense. It's
affiliated
my
with
wife's
Lumber
birthday
Slingers
too, so.
podcast. Yes, happy
Yeah.
birthday to Aunt.
Yeah, so
Happy
it's
birthday to
Pi
Aunt.
Day also. I bring that up. So everyone brings it up. They're like, it's Pi Day because it's 3.1. It's 3.14 for pi. And
It is
so I
Pi
like
Day.
people on Facebook. She's like, actually, it's Ann Day. Okay, it's
It's
Ann
Ann
Day.
Day. Yes. It's Ann Day and Pi Day. And if you
And
prefer to party on the weekend,
Pat-
St. Patrick's Day. Pre St.
St.
Patrick's Day.
Patrick's Day. Exactly. It's a big weekend. A lot
It's a
going
big
on.
weekend.
So but even with that being said, it's been a busy week across the industry as well.
Talk
Not even
about
just like
crazy.
talking about the tariffs and stuff, because that stuff is just something where it's like we could talk about that every time, and then I feel like at some point in time you end up just kind of talking in circles until there's some level of certainty, kind of like we spoke about last week. So
Exactly.
when you look outside of that, in my favorite area, and like things such as mergers, acquisitions, openings, and closings, there were some pretty fun ones in the industry that were I found surprising, just because usually we're looking at the normal suspects, that we hear a lot, but when you hear someone make an acquisition of two people that you didn't necessarily see coming by a long, I personally didn't, I think it's pretty cool. And then when that
Yeah.
company, which I will talk about in a movie in one moment, is in the news twice in 1 week, that's even kind of cooler.
Yeah.
So the vague statement is Elk Creek Forest Products. They've been all up in the news this week.
They have been all
So
over the news. They're like Taylor Swift on a good week. Basically, all over the place. They are out to dinner with Travis
yeah,
Kelsey. They are at the show performing. They are killing it.
yes, it's been pretty crazy, just because usually, like I said, like you see like the first release that came out this past week was, the headline was Elk Creek Forest Products named exclusive sales agent for reopened Boosie Milk Company. Like that right there, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, because that's a pretty big update. You go into it a little bit more. You could even probably speak more to the details of it, because I think we chatted about it, right when it came out as well.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, Busey Lumber did, it was acquired by private equity back in 2023. I believe we even covered it. And
Yep,
then they went out of
yep.
business late in the
Links, it was
year.
Links Equity.
Links Equity, yeah. So then I remember they announced that they were closing more towards the end of 2024. And so the really cool thing about this is that they were able to bring back, from what I'm told from a source at Elk Creek, that they were able to bring back like 9 out of 10 of the employees. I don't know if that's the exact number, but I think it was like one off from what worked there before. So
Hmm.
they were basically able to bring those jobs back to Busey, and Elk Creek is going to act as the exclusive selling arm of that mill. So they're going to be hopefully processing and producing what they were before. They already have the people in place. It's not going to be this big, training transition where, they're
Yep.
bringing in a bunch of new crew to a mill that's never worked there before. Hopefully, it'll be a very seamless transition and they'll be up and running. And it really aligns with Elk Creek and what they do in Doug Fir. So it's really awesome to hear this story and just to hear that the lumber industry is alive and well. It's just getting reinvented constantly, and so it's really good, positive news. We're so excited for Elk Creek and their growth, and we can't say enough good things about those guys. Brett Slaughter has been a wonderful leader in the industry, and I mean, I can't say enough. Mark Swinth, Mike Taryn, like those are a couple of my buddies over there. They're just really good people, and when good things happen to good people, we have to celebrate. And so, I know there's a lot of hard work that goes into it behind the scenes, and the headline's just the headline, but there's been a lot of hard work that goes into it. So, congrats to them on this news on being, exclusively selling the lumber that comes out of UC. Pretty cool.
Exactly. Nope. You hit the nail on the head. I mean, I can't even add more. I mean, it's just it's awesome. Like you said, good things with good people. I mean, it makes you really happy, and then it's almost like at some point, you see something else. You're like it's like a spoil of riches this week for happiness for those people,
Yeah.
same
Yeah,
people.
because then let's
Because
go to the
what was
next
it?
story. What's the next thing that we heard?
Which literally I was 2 days later when it came across, which was Elk Creek Forest Products to acquire All Coast Forest Products. So, when that came across, I was just like, "Wait, am I reading this right?" I'm just like, "Cause like I said, those are two big news items back to back, basically." Which was
Huge.
just, I was like, "This is amazing. This is awesome."
Yeah. So another, another great company marrying up with another great company. So All Coast is they've been around for a really long time, family business, and so. Much like Elk Creek, I think they align in their values and the type of
Yep.
business that they do, and so it just seems like it must have just made so much sense to just put these things together. As our industry kind of consolidates and more of these producers need to be involved in more parts of the process. Um, and again, like just talking to my friend at Elk Creek after the news broke, just saying a lot of these things have been behind the scenes for a couple of years, and it's just happenstance that both of these news updates are coming out in the same week. It just so happens that it's all happening at once. And Leslie Southwick, who used to be at C&D Lumber, who is now marketing at Elk Creek, she's been probably very busy since she started at this company. I also noticed they started an Instagram, so she's definitely
Oh,
got put to
really?
work right away. So, yeah, so that's another really cool news that broke in the industry, really close to home for us. So, good to see for them, and congrats again to Elk Creek for the big moves and the big shakes this week.
Yep. Just a couple of details that were also in there is that the agreement it is the letter of intent is expected to close on March 31st. So I mean,
Okay.
it's coming in and it's looking to be done real quick. Following the letter of intent, which is very nice. And one note that they had at the end, which I'll just quote them on, it said, Elk Creek is committed to preserving the legacy and quality lumber products and customer service that has defined All Coast success. So, I mean, I think that probably for people like you and I went without saying, but I mean, I think that's a nice thing to have, like, kind of end with there, just show about
Yes.
going to the point where you say it of how they're going to work very, very, very well together. There's a lot of similar values across the board there.
Totally. And from what I understand, I think they're still going to operate as All Coast underneath the Elk Creek umbrella, but I think everything
Mm-hmm.
might stay the same. Sales team's going to stay the same. Um,
Okay.
no big changes in terms of replacing the team or
Yep.
moving anybody down there. It sounds like it's going to be business as usual, just under Elk Creek's, I guess, leadership now. So
Yep. Exactly. So, again, those are two very nice welcome distractions from kind of the ongoing, outside noise, so to speak.
I know. Should
And,
we name
like I
today's
said,
episode not tariffs? Like, we're just not going to talk about them. I mean, do we really need to
exactly.
talk about them again? Nothing's changed. It's just, I mean, obviously there's some back and forth that's been happening, but I think that,
Yep.
for the most part, it is nice to hear other news happen. Business still happens no matter what. So,
100%. And I mean, if it does change, I mean, if anything does change, it seems like by the time you talk about it, it has changed again. So it just
yeah.
becomes like until there's more definitive stuff, it just becomes this revolving door of, your breaking news becomes unbreaking because there's no breaking news. And it's like, we can still talk about it. I mean, like, as time goes on, but it's probably more a little bit split up. So maybe there's some more, hopefully, definitive answers. But I mean, in the interim, I mean, I like to speak about these things, like, with Elk Creek. And then, I mean, there was another acquisition that happened that was announced this week. That was a nice one, for the industry, with Stein Lumber. They're from what I remember, I think they're a newer company. They were established in 2022, if I remember correctly. And they had announced that they had acquired Teal Jones remanufacturing plant in Salmon Arm, BC. So another nice acquisition that, kind of within the industry, making sure that, the remanufacturing is going to be going on there. I know Teal Jones have been going through some kind of restructuring over the past, like, I think maybe 6 or 9 months, if I remember. I could be slightly off on that timeline, but I want to say it was right around there. So anytime you see something like this, where a plant or a site is acquired and they're keeping it going, I mean, I think it's a really great thing for the industry, and it just shows that there's not, like, even though people may be having issues outside of this, I mean, people aren't, like, stopping doing what they've already been doing, because I mean, people have known probably for months and months at least, that things like this are going to be going on with the crazy outside noise. But if they were, in my opinion, truly like, oh, we need to, like, step back, I mean, then they could pause on these things. But I think that this shows that there's still confidence in the industry, and that they still believe that there's a large need for continued production. I mean, I think that shows when you just look around at the awful disasters that have happened recently, in the U.S. and everywhere. That, I mean, there isn't. I mean, you have to rebuild these things, and I think that people understand that if you just kind of try to silence the outside noise, I mean, just get back to business. And I mean, we can still operate as a normal
Yeah.
industry outside of the abnormalities, if that makes sense.
There's just it's a lot of no there's a lot of noise, and you notice that the people who are going to be making moves are making them during this time. Doesn't matter what's happening.
Yep.
So, Jack Gardner is the owner of Stein Lumber. He formerly was at Teal Jones. He's been in the industry his whole life. I
Hmm.
followed a thing he mentioned on LinkedIn about the acquisition of this remanufacturing plant. And it says, I started working in the forest industry as a teenager, spending my summer breaks at the mill in Salmon Arm. Now, 16 years later, I'm honored to own the mill alongside my father and brother. I'm grateful for the support of our suppliers and customers and the incredible group at Stein Lumber. Their dedication, hard work have helped us grow to a team of 20, and I feel fortunate to work alongside such exceptional individuals. So that's his statement. So that's funny. It kind of sounds like it was his first job, and now he bought the place. So that's pretty cool.
I
And
know,
and I
right?
know Jack has been in the industry. Um, he's third generation, I believe, third or fourth generation, and
Hmm.
he's working with another buddy in the industry. His name's Hayden, who formerly was at DoubleTree. So I know he's
Hmm.
over there as well. Sounds like they've got a team of 20 now, so they're growing.
Yep.
Good to hear. More great news. So congrats to them, and now they have a little bit more control over the process of lumber and what they can do. So keep it
Yeah.
going.
And it gives stability to the operations out in Salmon Arm. So I mean, I think that's also, obviously, you could already apply that as well as I. I think that's a huge plus across the industry, the region, and just everywhere. So I mean, it's nice to just, hear positive news like this. In my opinion,
Yes.
I love it.
Yes, I do too. I do too. It's good to hear.
And if more positive news, at least in my opinion, when it kind of comes to some of the, the things we like to speak about regularly, like when it comes to prices and mortgage rates and things of that nature. With the most recent lumber price index that came out at the end of last week with Madison's, it was up 7% or $40 from the previous week when it was 541, and it was at ending the week at 581. So, I mean, up and away.
Yeah, pricing's going up. I think that that's a direct result of what is potentially going on. What we're going to see now is
Mhm.
everybody will be into the spring buying mode. So I guarantee you prices are going to continue on an upward trend, especially with the supply question marks that are in the air. So I think that that's very indicative of where we're at, not only in the like cycle of a typical business year in lumber, but also what's going on in the world globally and with our trade. Do we call it a trade war? With our
Hmm.
situation.
Yep.
By the way, Madison's lumber reporter. I didn't know that Keta had so many videos on YouTube. She has like a really great YouTube channel, so make sure to check her out.
Hmm.
If you look out Madison's lumber reporter, it looks like she almost does a weekly
Yep.
update. So that's
I'm pretty sure she does. Yep.
yeah, so that's a cool resource to use if you are interested in following lumber pricing and having her break it down more scientifically. She's a great resource. So shout out to Keta and the Madison Lumber Reporter.
Yep. Absolutely. 100%.
Like,
And
subscribe, and
similar in
follow.
line with subscribe and follow. Yeah. Just like you should do with us, right?
Yes, please.
um, and similar vein, when it comes to mortgage rates, the 30-year mortgage rate is averaging at 6.65%. So, pretty similar, all things considered, to where we were at last week. But the interesting thing I found is that when it came to the mortgage applications, like we spoke about it the previous week, they had gone up by a large percentage. I want to say it was like 11 or 12% that week.
Yeah.
This week they increased by 11.2% again from last week.
Wow,
So
that's huge.
it you can all see. I think that those obviously make sense that they're
Yeah,
moving in tandem, because people are starting to see a little bit of a reprieve from that, and you're getting also the perfect storm in the fact that you're getting into the nicer weather, especially up
yeah,
here, up in the north area, and it makes people more motivated to buy when they see an opportunity. So I think some of these people might be trying to get out ahead of the summer rush, when you see a lot of people moving regardless.
yeah,
If you can start getting this into play in some nicer weather in the March April area,
yeah.
you're feeling real
Another
good about
seasonal
yourself right now.
indicator, right? We're gonna see more mortgage applications, and yeah, there's the seasonality to it, and then there's also the politics side that always affects it. So
Hmm.
see what happens. Interesting. It adds to consumer
Exactly.
confidence, that's for sure.
No, for sure, for sure. We want as much confidence as we can have, and as much positive news and stability as we can, when in a crazy world. What a crazy world we're living in.
Crazy times. Well, I is that all the news we have? Because I had one other breaking
Yeah,
story to share before we wrap.
sure, absolutely.
Okay. Breaking from my home, we had some big news this week, and I'm just gonna pull it up here. One moment. Bear with me. Bear with me.
We love the breaking news at Chelsea's house. Always good.
Breaking
Always
news
good.
at Chelsea's house. We gotta listen. Ready? That's right. My daughter, first word would be a mama. So you heard it here
Boom,
first. Publish,
boom,
hang it in the Louvre.
boom.
Mama. Okay? Not anything else that might be competing with that, but mama. It's beautiful. So that was
Hey,
a
you never
big
take
news
that away, right?
update this
Never
week.
take that away.
That's right. So
Nope. I think that's probably the best news of the week. To be fair, I think that overshadows everything else in a good way, in a very good way.
that's right. So, well, awesome, Trent. This has been a really fun episode of updates. I appreciate all your hard work that goes into it, and we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Nope. Great talking to you.
Bye.
Bye bye.